I came in on it a little bit later, but it was a really great time for me to get introduced to it, because it was just in the beginning of March, and we were doing some work on the ELA open response questions. And what I liked about it was the fact that they have tide and ride and trill, so the mnemonics, but the instructor said that you can change the mnemonics if they fit how you're teaching a little bit better. So I was teaching the English language arts open response question, and the first thing that we do is the T chart, which the kids were very familiar with. And then we talk about restating the question. So instead of tide, I wanted to use ride, which would be restate the question, include important details, and ending. So again, the linear organization was huge, because a lot of the kids use webs, and they get so tangled up in those webs that they're very ineffective. So the linear organization was a really big, important thing for us. And then what I observed in the short period of time that I was using it, which was maybe about 2.5, 3 weeks, what I observed was their organization was much, much better. They had something to rely on, like the mnemonics, so they were a lot more confident in their writing. It wasn't just jumping in and sort of getting scrambled up with those webs. So the organization was improved. They had more confidence. In fact, it was exciting for me, because when we had the actual MCAS day, they were very confident and comfortable, which was great for me to see. And they used the mnemonic when they were writing their open response. So that was great. Positive self-talk, that's another thing that I learned about a little bit about at the workshop. And what we did was we created a bubble. I had pictures of the kids, and we put them on a construction paper, and they created their own bubbles of positive self-talk. And it was great to see, because they really relied on that when we were practicing. We certainly couldn't use it during the MCAS, which was unfortunate, but they did rely on that when we were actually practicing before the MCAS. And then increased independence. I was giving, not a lot, but some of the homework were open response questions, like a ELA packet. And it was exciting for me, because I saw them actually use the mnemonic in their homework, and they really, liked it, and it was very effective. So the strategies transferred to the homework assignments, and the work samples are, now this is just an example, and I picked some, not the student in my class that has the most difficulty writing, but sort of like a middle of the road. And the T chart was familiar. But what I noticed was that because we have restate important details and ending, she restated the actual open response question, and then listed, I think, 5 or 6 important details, so that was great. And then the actual open response answer, or paragraph, also had ride in the top as a mnemonic to prompt or remind her to include all of those details in her writing. But I noticed that, which was exciting for me, that she organized it so that the ride, the mnemonics, were embedded in the paragraph, which was like great. So you can see R for the restate, and then there are 5 important details embedded in there, and then there's the ending. So the ending is right there.
She labeled them?
Yeah, she labeled, important detail.
Did you do that on her own, Kathy, or did you model that?
Oh, yeah.
She did it on her own?
Awesome. They did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you never told them to do that? I just thought that was a good idea.
They thought that was a good idea.
So it was a happy accident.
So it was great.
Yeah.
It's like one of those happy accident things, but hey, that's a good,
No, but a lot of them did it. A lot of them did
It
it.
happens to me all the time. I'm like,
So
I will
that's the,
use that next time.
I've only been using it just for a little bit of time, but how I've been using it, and how far that I've gotten so far using it has been really great. I look forward to learning more about it, and June 17th will be a really exciting time because we'll have Leslie Loud here, who's the expert. So, that's it. So, Vicki?
Okay, this, Joy and I have also been working on the SRSD, but we've been working with Tide. We just started actually Trio today, which is kind of fun. But we were doing, this is the Tide, and this is for informational writing. And we thought that this would work really well because we were working with nonfiction summaries. We actually used it to help us support that. And then we just kind of dropped it into the colonial biographies because they were writing informative pieces. So it all just kind of came together. And Joy's not here today, but she didn't get off that easy. We have a little video clip of the two of us talking about.
You want to talk about that?
We can talk about the
But the video's
whatever.
last. You wanna do
You
the
want to do
samples
the-
first?
Whatever, we can do the samples. So this is just a sample of one of our students. That's all he wrote on the pre-assessment. They were writing about somebody that they know. So that was his pre-writing, and that's all that he did. And I feel like I'm in the way of everybody, but so that's all he did. And then as we're going through lessons, and this is he's one of the reluctant writers who never really comes up with any ideas. I don't know what to write. I don't know what to say. Well, you're describing something. Well, it's, pizza. Like, it's cheesy. Well, what's it smell like? Cheese. And what's it look like? Cheese. Like, it's really hard to, pull the stuff out of him. The next topic was something that you're good at. And he was able to write, well, I think that it's in back order. But that's, I think, the last page. And then here's the first page.
Do you want me to put?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
That's how he started. So he wrote, a lengthy paper. Considering what he started off with, he was able to write it, and actually it's a great piece that Steve should read. It's about playing the saxophone. It's a really great piece. So, and then we actually had them evaluate their Tide writing, and he said, you can't really see it, and neither can I, but it just says that he's been, I can't see. It says that in my saxophone piece, I improved the most from my first paragraph. In the saxophone piece, Tide helped me stay on topic. And the last question is, have you used any aspect of the strategy outside of class so that it can transfer? And he said yes, when I was in science and we made a summary on a science packet. So he was able to take it and apply it to different areas, which is really great. So he found value in it, which is nice. And then this is Joy and me talking about Tide. I don't know how to get it started.
Just
though.
click.
Remember, we did our DRAs, way back when, the very first getting started.
The one laptop.
We realized,
I'm on the teacher.
Yeah.
Are the speakers connected?
Yep, they are. No, they're on. It was just
Is it okay?
she skipped it by accident.
you remember, we did our DRAs way back when, the very first getting to know our kids.
Yes.
And we realized, that they all really confused about how to write a nonfiction story.
Right. In fact, some of them actually said at the end, right? I didn't know how to do that.
Well, I think it's great that they knew that there's a difference in writing a nonfiction summary as opposed to a fiction summary. So at least they're aware enough that there's a difference. So then, with that in mind, we went ahead and we started using a T-chart. Trying to get them to figure out, okay, well, when you're writing a summary, you've got your main ideas, you've got your details support your main ideas when you're working with nonfiction. So we started doing the T-charts for the nonfiction summaries, and then we went to this SRSD conference, and it all came together. It did.
It fell right into what we were already doing.
Right.
It was nice.
It was very nice, because what happened is we were able to go to this conference, and then when we came back to school, we were just able to drop in Tide into our instruction with the nonfiction summarizing, and then we were able to make that leap over to nonfiction writing, informative writing.
Right. And I think using that language with the other projects that we did after that we were going to do anyway, really helped to kind of help the kids to see how it transferred into other areas, how they could use Tide in other areas of their daily work, right?
Right.
And that was another thing I think we noticed too, is that, you know, with SRSD, you don't have to give up anything as a teacher, your projects that you like to do, writing things that you like to do. You don't have to stop doing them and do something else. It's more that it gives you a structure for those writing pieces. It helps the kids to learn the structure, the organization for that particular genre of writing. And then you can still use what you like. You're just adding in the language and adding in the structure that they're already familiar with, and giving them a formula for writing.
Right, so it doesn't eliminate didn't eliminate what we like to do when we started using it.
Right.
In our writing classes. We just incorporated it in with what we did, and it gave the kids the skills to actually be able to know what was needed to be included in their writing.
And another thing I think that we like about it is that it's constantly evolving, and once students are able to meet a certain standard that you set out for them, then you up the ante. Okay, now everybody can write topic paragraphs, and everybody knows how to tell what's coming. Well, now we're going to add in another piece. We're going to talk about links or language or
We can.
But you can always be adding, and if some students are still working on a certain aspect of it, they can continue working on it, and other kids can work on things that are appropriate for them.
So it's evolving, it's differentiation, but what I liked about it too was that when we started using Tide, when we took the leap from nonfiction summarizing and we did the actual informative writing, that we started off with the paragraph, and then the kids were able to take that paragraph structure and pull it into a 5-paragraph essay. And they were able to see it, and it made sense to them.
Absolutely. I think that's true. And I think when we did that, you know, we were, again, then we started using the scoring for points and helping kids to see what was missing in their writing, what they should have that they didn't have. And I think that did help with their ownership. I think they really felt like they were the ones scoring, not us. They were able to see what they needed. They were able to set goals for themselves. Oh, you know what, I really don't have, you know, I didn't really elaborate in that paragraph. I just told, you know, the main idea. So they were able to then say, okay, well, next time I need to do that, which I think is really great. I think that's a really important goal into teaching them what they need to know.
And you know what else is great too, was the fact that we were able to use Tide with the colonial writing that we did. Because they were able, since we were doing informative writing, they were doing their biographies, they were informing, so they were able to use Tide as a structure, where they had their topic sentence, they had their interesting details, they had their ending. And of course, because it's differentiated, it was all at different levels. Some kids had one paragraph, other kids had multiple paragraphs, but the Tide structure gave them a place to start and the confidence to move on with it.
Right. And I think that teaching them the structure, and teaching them how to organize their thinking, is really helpful, because like other people have talked about, you know, the goal is really that students internalize these things, and that they're not dependent on graphic organizers or external graphic organizers or teachers to tell them what they need to do differently. It really is helping them to see for themselves, and then to be able to truly become lifelong writers. You know, these are things, skills that they'll need for the rest of their lives, and they need to internalize them. They can't always be looking outward for the answers. They have to be able to figure out how to do them, how to organize for
And
themselves.
rely on what they know.
Yeah.
Right. It's great.
So just like we're trying to make lifelong readers, we're trying to make lifelong readers. Thanks for doing it.